Dear students, after studying this module, you shall be able to know about the definition of memory from a neurological point of view, learn about the neural mechanisms of encoding, storage and retrieval, learn about the neural mechanisms of short-term memory and long-term potentiation, learn about the neural mechanisms of some major memory disorders. The ancient Greeks valued memory. They worshipped Mnemosyne, mother of Muses, as its goddess. Mnemosyne's name lives in the phrase mnemonic device for rehearsal of the learnt material. Through ages, explanations for memory have evolved to keep with the time and their science. Major breakthrough in the field of psychology of learning and memory was achieved by Hermann Ebbinghaus as he attempted the first systematic study of memory in 1885. In one experiment, he forced himself to memorize long strings of nonsense syllables such as Kim, Jeff, Tur, Das, and so on in order to recall them as quickly as he could. He thought that the memory included creation of associations in the brain, and he used the nonsense syllables NSS because they had no previous existing associations. He discovered a correlation between the number of times he repeated the syllable list on one day and speed with which he repeated them the next day. Ebbinghaus's endeavor encouraged other psychologists and neurobiologists to dig in further to examine the neural networks that lays the foundation of human memory. If the creation of memories involved associations, the question was where these associations might exist. The German biologist Richard Semon proposed that experience leaves a physical trace in specific webs of neurons. He called this trace an engram. Lashley, however, tried of locating this engram, gave a counter-argument that memories become encoded through a form of mass action throughout the brain, rather than specific locations where engrams could be located. Defining memory. Memory is the process of encoding, storing and retrieving any piece of information presented through any mode of sensation. Without encoding, the brain has nothing to process for storage. Without storage, the brain would always live in the present. Finally, without retrieval, memory stored will remain there with no practical purpose. Therefore, memory should be stable enough to allow the brain to build upon experiences, but flexible enough to adapt to the changes in the experience. Encoding. Encoding requires paying attention. The strength of memory may depend on the type or amount of attention paid to stimuli. Attention to physical characteristics is coded more shallowly than the sound of the words, which are not as deeply encoded as the meaning of information processed in the cortex. In addition, emotional content enhances encoding and can lead to so-called flashbulb memories, which may include minute details of extremely emotional episodes. Studies using latest modern technologies like the fMRI and PET scans of the brain have shown activation in the hippocampal areas of the brain when an individual engages in the learning of a new task. A monumental work in this direction was carried out by Tulving in meta-analytical study of the process of encoding episodic memory. According to them, a meta-analysis of experimentally induced changes in blood flow in positron emission tomography studies of memory revealed an orderly functional anatomic pattern. It showed that activation associated with episodic memory encoding was located primarily in the rostral, whereas those associated with episodic memory retrieval were located primarily in the caudal portions of the hippocampus. These findings were based on an analysis of a sample of 54 hippocampal encoding and retrieval activations that were culled from an overall database consisting of 52 published PET studies of memory. They refer to this general pattern of rostrocaudal gradient of encoding and retrieval PET activations as hyper hippocampal encoding or retrieval model. The model suggests a division of memory related regions between the rostral and caudal portions of the hippocampal formation. A process called elaboration associates new information with other earlier stored as well as information coming from other sources and adds strength to encoding. Storage retains information gathered in the initial stages of encoding. The information passes into sensory memory as the brain processes sensations such as sound and light and sight. Working memory plays a vital role in formation of memory once the information is encoded. It is then passed on to the long-term store after rehearsal and becomes a permanent part of a memory repertoire. Formation of STM and LTM. Hebb 1949 distinguished between short-term memory, also known as STM, and long-term memory, also known as LTM. Working memory or STM is what we remember while engaging in a day-to-day activity. Working memory is seated in the frontal and the parietal lobe of the cerebral cortex. There is a constant addition and loss of information that takes place in the working memory. It allows us to remember important stuff and reject unimportant ones so that we can efficiently deal with the changing environment. Working memory is indispensable for activities like conversation. Long-term memory is the memory for events that do not currently occupy our attention. To recall them, we have to retrieve them from the storage. People with damage to hippocampus can form new STM but find it difficult to develop LTM. Some STM may enter LTM more rapidly than others. Even LTM must precede STM. Materials in the short-term memory have to be consolidated into the long-term memory for later recall. According to Hebb, consolidation depends primarily on time. The greater a memory stays in STM, greater is the chance for it to get consolidated in the LTM. Hebb mentioned that STM may be represented by a reverberating circuit of neuronal activity in the brain with a self-exciting loop of neurons. If the reverberating circuit remained active long enough, some chemical or structural change will revert it into LTM. However, that is not enough. One remembers those things better which are more meaningful for him. Physiologically speaking, more meaningful events arouse the sympathetic nervous system which accompanies secretions of epinephrine in the bloodstream. Greater, but not excessive since it may be harmful, flow of epinephrine enhances memory. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, enters the brain and makes more glucose available for utilization. It results in stronger memory. Kandel, an American neuropsychiatrist, received Nobel Prize in Medicine for his path-breaking work focusing on the biological basis of memory formation. He established physiological basis of memory storage in the neurons. According to him, formation of memory involves synthesis of a new protein. He observed the giant sea slug, Aplysia californica, for this purpose because of its similarity with human neural system as well as its relatively large neuron size. The sea slug, like humans, show reflex action of withdrawing its gill when its stiffness touched and, like humans, gets habituated to repeated stimulations and displays no reaction on doing so. This simple reflex action proved that the slug was capable of simple learning and thus it motivated Kandel to conduct more experiments. Kandel also observed that the slug responded to sensitization in which a strong electric shock to the tail resulted in strengthened response to the weak siphon stimulus. Kandel used regular sensitization using tail shock 5 times in spaced intervals and observed the conversion of the short-term memory to the long-term memory. Thus, he and his associates conducted more studies on the mechanism behind this conversion. In their studies, they found that apart from sensory and motor neurons, a third kind of neuron was present right at the junction of the first two. This was called the modulatory neuron. The neurotransmitter of this neuron was found to be serotonin. It was soon found that the neurotransmitter serotonin, acting to produce a second messenger, CAM, is involved in the molecular basis of sensitization of the gill withdrawal reflex. His theoretical finding further strengthened the belief of neural bases of memory. A full-fledged analysis of his theory would require a componential knowledge of biology. Further, imaging studies of humans have provided consolidated evidence for subparts of the working memory. It can be divided into two types of processes: executive control, that is governing passage of information, and active maintenance, governing ability of information. It has also been observed that these two types processes are subserved by different cortical regions. The executive control primarily results from activation of prefrontal cortex, while the active maintenance is related to functions in the posterior regions of the cortex. Organizing memories, declarative versus non-declarative. The medial temporal lobe, which includes the hippocampus and the parahippocampal regions, forms webs of rich connections with the cerebral cortex and helps create, organize and store memories. The cortex is crucial to long-term storage of memory. Memory can be broadly divided into two parts, that is declarative and procedural. The declarative may be further divided into semantic and episodic memory. Remembrance of facts and events is called declarative memory. Brain scans indicate that widespread regions of the cerebral cortex interact to support these memories. Semantic memory involves knowledge about general facts and data. Neural networks appear to be widely scattered for storing particular data and can be seen throughout cerebral cortex. Episodic memories are the kinds of biological bits which people recall. Medial temporal lobe and parahippocampal regions are especially active during this process. Memories that are non-declarative involve rote memory. They may also be associated with the deeper and the older parts of the brain, such as the cerebellum and basal ganglia. Memories that contain emotional content involve amygdala. They are encoded more powerfully than non-emotional stimuli because of the mediation of this region in the process. Through this table, we will describe different types of memories and its location. STM, the brief time of keeping memory before it is pushed into LTM, and its location is hippocampus and subculum stores. Procedural memory, its description is memory of action and location is stored first in the motor cortex and then cerebellum. Episodic memory, its description is personal experiences and location is prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, medial temporal lobe. Semantic memory, which is used for learned factual knowledge, its location is hippocampus, frontal cortex. Priming, non-conscious recall of immediate experience, and the location is cerebral cortex and process original stimuli. Retrieval, when we try to recall a memory, we call upon many of the very same neural pathways that sense the event. Recall nearly recreates the event. When recalling the information, the brain receives information by firing the network connecting color, sound, emotion and spatial orientation. Hebb argued for localization of memories through modification of groups of cell assemblies in the brain. To Hebb, learning and memory formed real, physical changes in the neural circuits of cell assemblies. Under this theory, cell assemblies work in chains so that one element of the memory, for example, name of an object, excites another assembly that encodes its image. He provided a theory linking long-term potentiation (LTP) to memory. The theory puts together the whole process of memory. The process of LTP is summarized below. After repetitive stimulation of a neural pathway, a synapse will show two signs of increased efficacy. 1. A single stimulation caused a more rapid increase in the excitatory postsynaptic potential, also known as EPSP. A single stimulation recruited more cells that reached the action potential threshold. Molecular basis of LTP. 1. Synaptic activity in the hippocampus releases glutamate, excitatory and calcium. NMDA, a type of a receptor, is blocked by magnesium. AMPA, a type of receptor, opens. Then AMPA allows in sodium. Excitatory postsynaptic potential EPSP. 4th, activation of postsynaptic dendrite releases magnesium and NDMA receptors. Then glutamate binds with NDMA receptor. After this, NDMA pumps calcium into cells and causes action potential faster than sodium. Then calcium used to synthesize neurotrophins, and neurotrophins affect synapses, more larger, stronger connections. Brain area and memory disorders. Memory disorders range from the temporary loss of memory resulting from concussion to devastating erasures of lifetime experiences. Head injury, encephalitis, and brain malformations affect memories. Implicit memory consists of conditioned responses, learned motor skills, perceptual learning, and priming effects relying on different types of physiological mechanisms. Electrical changes have been consistently recorded in cells in one of the nucleus in cerebellum called the lateral interpositus nucleus. In classical learning paradigm, as training increases, the response of these cells increases. Damage to this nucleus causes permanent loss of conditioned response. The red nucleus, a midbrain motor area, was found to be crucial in the motor response of the learned behavior, even though it did not directly participate in learning. Loss of explicit memory denotes amnesia. It may be anterograde or retrograde amnesia. Different kinds of amnesia may result from damage to the hippocampus and the neighboring areas like amygdala. Such a patient may learn some new facts and skills, but he will not remember having learned them. Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome is another disorder with memory loss. Such a patient has anterograde and retrograde amnesia and is severely deficient in reasoning tasks. Like frontal lobe damaged patients, he showed apathy and severe deficiency in recalling the temporal sequence of events. He may show perseveration and loss of implicit memory as well. It is primarily caused due to thiamine, which is vitamin B1 complex, deficiency, which prevents utilization of glucose, the primary fuel for brain. It is found generally in alcoholics. It leads to shrinkage of cerebral neurons, particularly in the mammillary body's 9 parts of hippocampus. The latter is a nucleus which projects to the frontal cortex, so the symptoms resemble those of frontal lobe damaged patients as well. Alzheimer's disease starts with minor forgetfulness but advances to serious memory loss, confusion, depression, restlessness, hallucinations, delusions, and disturbances of eating, sleeping, and other daily activities. The disease is associated with widespread atrophy of the cerebral, especially hippocampus and other areas. The most severely damaged area is the entorhinal cortex, part of the cerebral cortex which sends maximum number of fibers to the hippocampus. A large number of plaques containing deposits of beta amyloid appear in the damaged area in tangle complexes. This is a disease which severely resists treatment and causes problem even in spatial orientation due to the loss to immediate as well as long-term memories. Brain damage can cause amnesia by impairing the storage of new memories anterograde or the retrieval of old memories retrograde. The hippocampus is involved in both consolidation and retrieval. The prefrontal area may play an executive role. Memories are stored near the area where the information they are based on is processed. Declarative learning is mediated by the hippocampus and non-declarative involve the striatum and amygdala. Working memory holds new information and information retrieved from storage while it is being used. Summary: memory is the process of encoding, storing and retrieving any piece of information. Activation associated with episodic memory encoding was located primarily in the rostral, whereas those associated with episodic memory retrieval were located primarily in the caudal portions of the hippocampus. Memory type: STM memory is the brief time of keeping memory before it is pushed into LTM, and it is located in hippocampus and subiculum stores. Procedural memory is the memory of action and it is stored first in the motor cortex and then the cerebellum. Episodic memory is the memory of personal experiences and it is located in the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus and the medial temporal lobe. Semantic memory is learned factual knowledge and is stored in hippocampal frontal cortex. Priming is non-conscious recall of immediate experience. It is located in cerebral cortex that processes original stimuli. Hebb mentioned that STM may be represented by a reverberating circuit of neuronal activity in the brain with a self-exciting loop of neurons. If the reverberating circuit remained active long enough, some chemical or structural change will convert it into LTM. Condell's theory of molecular formation of STM stated that serotonin, acting to produce the second messenger, CCAMP, is involved in reflexes. The medial temporal lobe, which includes the hippocampus and parahippocampal regions, forms webs of rich connections to the cerebral cortex, helping create, organize and store memories. Memory disorders of amnesia, Wernicke-Korsakoff's psychosis, Alzheimer's disease and others have a neural base. Thank you.